Hello, I'm Camden Hainsworth, and this is Camden ADHD. So glad to have you with me today. I have spent the last year really deciding that I needed to change some of my healthy living habits. This included running a triathlon, running, swimming, and biking in a triathlon, starting to skateboard again, and also riding my bike for an extended amount of time. But a huge portion of not only overall health, but also brain health for ADHD is our nutrition. And so today that's what we're going to be discussing is how nutrition has benefited me and the impact that I have felt as I have included that more into my daily regimen. Hello! I'm so glad that you guys are here with us. So it's true. I set out to do my first triathlon sprint of riding my bike, swimming, and running last spring, and it was really good for me. It pushed me outside of my comfort zone and got my wiggles out in terms of ADHD, trying something new, doing something it's a little bit more exhilarating and out of the blue. Growing up, I played soccer, I played softball, and I was just overall athletic, but I never really got into water sports. And we had a pool growing up, so I knew how to swim, and I actually did diving, so like diving board diving, but was not even interested in anything remotely, including the swim team. My mom kind of said a funny thing. She was an athlete. She played basketball and softball, and has since done multiple other sports, but she's like, listen, your head is in the water. When you're breathing hard and exercising, the last place you want to put your face is in the water. And so I think I just kind of stuck with that in my mind. It's not anything negative that she told me, but I just kind of had this image in my mind that exercise in water would be just far too difficult for me. But guess what? Oh my goodness, I love to swim. I'm not fantastic at it, but there is something so soothing about your body going through that water, and it's so gentle on your body, but you feel so strong and so good afterward. And I have just loved pushing myself. And at that point, I didn't even know, I hadn't even discovered the fact that I have ADD. But it just makes so much sense when I look back, thinking all these new things I wanted to try. And then in June, by the end of June, I had ordered a skateboard again. And though I had a skateboard when I was like in 8th grade, I never got really good. And then I had longboards. I longboarded to school like my freshman and sophomore year of high school until I got a car. And then I used it in college as just a form of transportation, and I loved that. Also, we would take them down the canyon on these they were hills, but mostly just like a nice canyon trail, and it was just beautiful being surrounded by the trees and on my skateboard. But I wanted to try something new, and so once again, this is my ADD kicking in. And I got a classic board, and I have learned a few tricks and a few maneuvers at a skateboard park, and it's just been skateboard park. I sound so formal, at the skate park. And I have just really started to enjoy the thrill of something new and exciting through being on that skateboard. And it kind of satisfies my itch to do something new and to improve upon what I'm doing. And I also did a 24-hour bike ride with a team this past summer, riding our bikes from Salt Lake City all the way down to St. George, and we had a great time doing that. So lots of ways that we can push my physical health. But as we all know, so much of ADD also comes from mental health. And we often think when we put food into our body that it's going to help our heart and help our blood and our arteries and our kidneys and, the function of our organs. But for some reason, a lot of us don't think that what we eat will actually impact our brain. And that's just silly. Our brain is what causes everything in our body to work as it should. And if our brain is not functioning correctly, our brain is under too much stress, then we're going to be under too much stress, right? Something that we definitely need to take into consideration and start to work better on. So this is what I did, and if you have any ideas of what you've done to help, then let's hear them. I am so open for as many helpful hints as possible. But what I started to do first off is start to include some omega-3s into my diet. And there's a lot of them on the market, but the one that I found is from a wild source, and it's from salmon. So wild salmon from Alaska. And so I don't have all those nasty fishy burps. And I actually learned that if I take those at nighttime, that they're even more beneficial. Our body, from what I've learned, absorbs lipids, fats, better in the evening. And so I decided to start taking those in the evening, and I actually found some that are small enough that my daughter can also take, and she is major ADHD. She has hyperactivity and high anxiety as well. And so I knew that this would help my brain health, maybe my brain fog, my anxiety levels, hopefully to be lowered, my ability to just get things done and compartmentalize a little bit better. But I was not anticipating how much better it would make me sleep. Holy Toledo. My sleep has improved so much, and I think a lot of us, especially those of us with ADD, can relate to that feeling of feeling your brain working even when you're asleep, and kind of feeling those neurons sending signals back and forth in your brain all night long, even though you're supposed to be like in a different world. But being aware of your brain thinking, that's terrible. You're never going to get the sleep that you need by doing that. And what I found is by taking omega-3s, I was able to get to a whole different level of REM sleep where I didn't remember. I'd still have vivid dreams, but it's not like my body was aware that my mind was thinking all night long. And that was a huge, honestly, life-changing discovery for me. And I can remember, I can feel within moments of laying down on my bed if I've forgotten to take those, because my brain is still racing, it's still going wild. But there's something about taking the omegas that calms my brain down, that lessens the anxiety, and allows me just to slip into this beautiful sleep. And I don't think I will ever not take those for that reason alone. But I also feel my stress levels have gone down as well. You can do a lot of research on the links to fish oil and helping with, benefiting people that might suffer from memory loss, as well as, depression and other things like that definitely are linked to our mind. But it's certainly helped me. And especially with the hardships that I've been facing recently, my life got a lot more jumbled, and so my routines were were much more chaotic and off. And I felt such a difference, not only in my sleep, but in my stress and anxiety over that time. And one of my very first steps to getting back in order was to get back on those omega-3s. So if you have any questions about, where I got those, I'll be happy to share that with you. Just shoot me a note. But I just feel like if I'm going to be taking these in the first place, I might as well be taking them the best kind that are out there that actually do something and come from good sources instead of nasty farm-fed fish that are like pooping all over each other. Another thing that I thought of, I grew up with a dad who actually owned a health store, and he sold juicers and wheatgrass grinders and juicers and and trampolines, and he had a whole bunch of different things. But I remember him juicing carrots and celery and apples for us, and it just felt so pure and so good to have that real food nutrition in that pure juice form, I remember feeling so refreshed even as a young kid. And so I was looking for something that would be good for my whole family, but wouldn't be super, super expensive and would still get like the benefits of real food, instead of just taking like a Flintstones vitamin or something. But like, is there some way that's really fast that I can get this not only into my system but into my family system? Because if I'm going to change my eating habits, I might as well have that benefit everyone else, right? So that's what I did, and I recognized with brain health the importance of B12s and vitamin C. Um, there's quite a few different things, and I started looking into brain health in general, and the dark greens, so kale and spinach, were a huge part of brain health that I knew that I wanted to include. And so I liked like the smoothies that you can get at, smoothie places that include all of those, but that can get pretty expensive. And a lot of the time they put yogurt in them, and I don't have dairy, and so that was a problem. I took that out, and then it was still ended up being like $6 every time I wanted that, and there's just a lot of other fillers that I thought were unnecessary versus like the juicing that my dad did that was really good. So I found this awesome 1 ounce like pouch of juice, and it's just like pure juice, that includes those leafy greens like broccoli and kale and spinach, but also includes blueberries. Have you guys studied blueberries and brain health? It's super awesome. I'm just going to bring up blueberries and brain health. I didn't know a whole ton about them. I knew that they were good because of antioxidants, but guys, the brain health function is incredible. So 10 proven health benefits of blueberries. This is from healthline.com. Okay, so number 1, they're low in calories but high in nutrients. So they're just like packed full of nutrition. They have fiber, vitamin C, vitamin K. They're the king of the antioxidants, which we know combat free radicals in our body. And free radicals are those unstable molecules that are bouncing around our body. They're lacking an electron. And so they kind of just bounce around, wreaking havoc on your body. And so antioxidants are the things that can get rid of those. And then they can help reduce DNA damage, which I thought was super interesting. We have, and I'm not a scientist, guys, so I'm trying to remember all the things that I've learned, but pretty much it's like, the ends of your shoelaces and how they start to fray, and so they have that little plastic piece around the shoelace. If that plastic piece isn't there, then the DNA is going to like start to fray and not be very healthy. But this actually helps keep that from fraying, keep that DNA nice and healthy. So I remember reading that as a parallel, and made more sense in my brain than a whole bunch of scientific talk. So you guys can go look up the scientific talk. I'm just telling you, this is just me, normal person. And so anyway, I knew that I wanted blueberries. Helps lower blood pressure as well and helps prevent heart disease. But the thing, like I said, the biggest thing was helps maintain brain function and improved memory. And with so much Alzheimer's and different things going on, obviously everyone would benefit from this, but also an ADD brain that's constantly trying to focus, constantly trying to remember, especially that short-term memory. Somebody telling me their name and then me forgetting before I've even put it into the memory bank. I need all the help I can get. So I found something that had blueberries in it as well. And in addition to a whole bunch of other superfoods that have tons of antioxidants that are good for everything in general, but specifically for that. So what else was there? Ashwagandha, which helps with a ton of anti-anxiety. Ashwagandha is a great source of that. Let me try and think. Mangosteen is in there. Anyway, it's just an awesome smoothie but in a pouch, and you can drink it in less than 10 seconds, and it's something I can give to my kids as well. And it's just worked out really well for our family. Once again, in the morning, I can tell if I have not taken that, because I don't have enough. I don't have energy, and we're not just talking about like pep in my step, right? I'm talking about my brain is working slowly. I wake up very early. I wake up at 3:45 every morning, and my brain has been functioning so very early on. I teach classes. It's not just like I'm sitting there and doing nothing. But my brain will start to feel tired, and when I wake up and get to that point about 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock or so, and have that jolt of pure vegetable and fruit juice, it does wonders for my mind. So I absolutely love that. And then lastly, I wanted to find something that could really clear my mind. A lot of times people have headaches, have migraines, and I thought of everything associated with the brain, and I wanted to do this all naturally as much as possible as an adult, and see what tools I could put in my toolbox, and before I went to medication. So I'm not anti-medication by any means, but at the same time, I wanted to see what I could solve in my life through exercise and nutrition, through mindset, and through acceptance before I did medication. And maybe that is down the road for me. That's fine, but I can tell you the differences that I have felt while I've made these changes. And the last one that I did is I found a natural vasodilator. And that's kind of a big word, but it just pretty much means it's helping my blood arteries continue to be flexible, to not build up with junk on the inside that's going to restrict blood flow, but do the complete opposite. And as blood flow happens, oxygen flow happens, and that's going to help a lot with my brain, with thought. If you can think about like being under a stressful situation, people start to hyperventilate, right? And the lack of oxygen to the brain causes shutdown. And so with this awesome natural vasodilator, I'm getting blood flow to the brain. And it's just like this squirt of juice from a wild noni berry. And maybe you guys have heard noni. It's very popular, and it's becoming popular for a very good reason. As we are moving from fully medicinal to approaching more holistic ways of health, and that also helps with absorption. So I'm opening up my blood vessels, I'm giving my body good food, and then it's able to absorb it. The biggest difference that I see in that is I feel lighter. I feel like I can breathe deeper, and it relaxes me. In the past, when I was younger, I remember talking to my mom about, Mom, I just can't breathe. I feel so restricted. And she took me to the doctor, and we couldn't figure out why I couldn't breathe well. And they're like, oh, she's just growing. But looking back, I recognized that was anxiety, and that I probably had a lot going on in my brain. I couldn't slow it down. And so for me, this is a really good way to not only get all the good nutrition into my body that I'm giving it and have that absorbed instead of being wasted out in urine or whatnot, but also to like ground me and allow for that necessary blood flow, especially to my organs and to my brain. And I have felt such a difference. This little change in my diet and in my exercise, I can depend upon more good days than bad. And like I said, there was a while there where I felt like my life completely shut down and broke down, and I was not doing this system. I was not feeding my body all of this nutrition, and I felt such a difference. Like I felt more anxious, I felt more confused, I felt less motivated to exercise. I felt like I told you, my sleep was awful. My brain was just thinking all night long, and I could feel that happening. I was not waking up rested, and I could not sustain my mind. It wasn't just my energy, but I could not sustain my mind. I could not push myself to do those fun things like skateboarding or like triathlons when my body was running on fumes. And so I just have such a testimonial on the importance of nutrition, and I'd love to hear what all of you guys done. I mean, I've been talking for 20 minutes, and I think that's long enough for today. But I'd love to hear what some of you have done, and if you have any questions about specifically what it is that I'm applying, I'm happy to show you. Where I buy my stuff from and what stores to go to, and I've done a lot of research on it, and I'm really happy with where I've landed, but I'm always open. I think it's important to always be open to more ideas as well. So that is my personal testimonial on the importance of nutrition for ADHD and brain health. I think cutting your sugars significantly down is also extremely important. I have learned that from my daughter. Oh man, she has definitely forced me into that one, and I guess that's it. So thank you so much for joining me. If you love this channel and have found value today, please subscribe and share it with your friends. My whole joy in sharing this journey is to help other people not feel so alone, and for me to just give little nuggets of my wisdom as I'm navigating this journey through ADD as an adult, so that they can have a foot up on this journey as well. So hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for being with me, and we'll talk soon. See you later.